an incredible collaborative that we have going on in this space. And we're all committed to improving the city's delivery of core municipal services. And Angelinos rely on the Public Works Bureaus for critical services, whether it's clean water, safe streets, or well-lit neighborhoods. And I know I'm not alone in my frustration at the current pace that we deliver those services. And I also know that the frustration that we feel is not because of a lack of dedication to the extraordinary service from our city workers, because our city workers in all of our public works departments are working day in and day out 24/7 to prevent crises from occurring, to get us out of crisis when it's occurring, and to help rebuild us when it's time to rebuild the city. And since the moment I've gotten here, these are the departments that we have prioritized and uplifted, particularly during the budget process, because when people call my office, they call us to trim the trees, to fix the sidewalks, to make sure that we're doing the curb cuts, to resurfacing the streets. And we want to be able to deliver that as efficiently as possible. And so I'm excited for this opportunity to be able to join you all here. I've spoken to countless employees from street services to contract administration who tirelessly deliver for LA and who are often asked, very often, to do more and more with less and less resources. In the first month of this new year, we've been met with another incredible challenge as the city workers work to repair the massive damage left behind by the recent windstorms and fires. The demands on our public works are growing, and I'm committed to working with each of you to make sure that the services that are the backbone of our communities are delivered efficiently, sustainably, and with the highest level of innovation as possible. And I know that for many of our GMs, for many of the people who have been working in these departments, y'all have been here for a long time, many of you all for decades. You've seen politicians and people in these positions come in and out, and I just want to share with y'all that I'm very much committed to figuring out not only how we do more of the work that we're excellent at, but how do we incorporate more innovation? Like, what is, other than the budget, is holding these departments back from executing and delivering on more work with the less resources that we have, but with enough support? So these are the things and conversations that I want to talk about, because I do believe that we can do things as a city a little more efficiently by giving more support to you all. And efficiency, like I said, isn't just about saving money. It's about delivering better outcomes for the people that we serve. It requires us to break out of short-term mindsets and quick fixes so that we can finally reduce response times, prevent infrastructure failures before they happen, and create more sustainable, resilient communities. And the last piece I'll say is that some of us also sit on the Budget and Finance Committee. Yesterday was our first Budget and Finance Committee of the year, and many of the cases in front of us were trip and fall cases. And we can't talk about the nature of these cases because of closed session, obviously, but it is shocking to see the number of cases and the millions upon millions of dollars we have to pay out and decide to pay out every meeting because of deferred maintenance, because we're not investing enough in the services and departments that do this work, and removing the barriers that prevent them from doing their work. And so we just want to, I want to share that with you all, that when we're in this space, we're bringing both of these committees together in the work that we're doing, so that now we're not siloed, and we can finally start tackling some of these issues that keep bringing repeated cases forward, because we can't afford it anymore. We're in very difficult budget situation, so we got to save what we can, and a lot of that is trying to be more innovative with what we have and trying to prevent harm and crises from happening in the first place. So again, very excited to be able to join you on this committee, very excited to work with these committee members to move on some great stuff. So let's go ahead and begin this meeting. I'm now calling this meeting of the Public Works Committee to order. Mr. Espinoza, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember Hernandez.
Present.
Councilmember Padilla. Present. And Councilmember Hutt. Here. 3 members and a quorum.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and move to the public comment portion of our meeting. Mr. Costello Vega, can you please read the instructions for public comment?
Yes, Madam Chair. We will now take public comment. When your name is called, please come to the podium and state which of the agenda items you would like to speak on. You will have 1 minute per item to speak, up to 2 minutes total for multiple agenda items, and 1 minute for general public comment. We will let you know when your time is up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. If you are making a general public comment, you must address topics within the jurisdiction of this committee. If you are not speaking on topic, or if we cannot tell if you are speaking on topic, you will get 1 brief warning from the chair or me. If you do not immediately get back on topic, or again stray off topic, the chair will cut you off and you will forfeit the rest of your speaking time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Zinu Taitan, if you could please come up to the queue. Good morning. I'm here to
Which items would
to
you like to
on
speak on?
everything.
On everything.
Everything means everything.
You
Start with
have
number one.
3 minutes.
About the outreach and enforcement on sidewalk vending. This is an issue that I spoke with the Council District 1 on numerous occasions. I called them to the point that they hang up the phone. Immediately they hear my voice. The issue is everybody knows. Taco truck, illegal taco truck, they don't have a health permit. Illegal burrito truck on the sidewalk, they don't have a health permit. There's no regulation. LAPD doesn't care. The city council doesn't care. No regulation, no enforcement. Not only in CD1, but all over the city. We all know that. Everybody, you go home every day, you drive to work, you see those vendors illegally, vendor on there every day. But right now we are talking about outreach and enforcement. There's absolutely zero enforcement because our council member Hernandez always protect the illegal. So if you are legal, she enforces you. If you are illegal, she protects you. That's what she does. Number two, talking about street lighting outage. This is something I call the Council District 1 on a regular basis. Lighting outage. Why? Because as a single woman, myself, I have to take a public transit. I have to walk. I have to bicycle late night after school, after work. On the numerous occasions I go home, it is very, very dark. I am scared. I'm scared that someone will rape me. I'm scared someone will stab me out of nowhere. I'm scared that there's no LAPD officer. I will get robbed. I am scared. There's so dark. I cannot see. I fall. I trip. I step on some feces and urines. I'm not aware. So when I call the Council District 1 for assistance, do I get any resolution? Do I get any support? Absolutely no. But right now, we are continuing to talk about this so-called lighting outage, street lighting services repair. And then our council district member continues saying, we give all the money to LAPD, we have no money to fix the lighting. And then LAPD continue to be most understaffed police department in the nation. I have no idea what's going on in the head with the head of our council district 1. When our council district talking about LAPD has 24% of the city budget, El Monte 49% of the city budget, Riverside 33% of city budget, San Bernardino 37% of city budget. Our council member continue to be ignorant, continue to telling me that 24% of the city budget, that's way too much. Our council member is not capable of doing math. Hopefully in the future that when I'm calling the Council District 1, I'm asking for homeless services, that our council member does not kick me out just because I'm a legalized citizen. Everybody, you can come here, you can be an illegal Mexican, you always get free housing, but I cannot because I'm legal. I apologize, I am legal. I want to be illegal again.
James Okazaki.
I wanted to speak on item number 4, so I will speak at that time. Is that okay?
You can speak now. Speak on now.
Okay, excuse me. Thank you for the opportunity, Councilwoman Hernandez. I'm a former city employee, retired almost 20 years ago. When I was here, I think Ed Reyes was the council member for the first district. I also know the other Hernandez. He was here before you. Anyway, I'm a member of the Little Tokyo community, and I'm a member of the Little Tokyo Historical Society and the Little Tokyo Community Council. And I think you might have already received a support letter from the LTCC and the LTBA, the Little Tokyo Business Association, in support of putting up a monumental sign in front of one of our favorite restaurants in Little Tokyo called Koraku, almost 50 years old in 2 years. It's 48 years. 48 years. It's established in 1976, and I've been going there ever since I came to America almost 67 years ago. So it's one of my favorite places in Little Tokyo. But anyway, I wanted to say that I personally would like to see.
Can we add a minute for general public comment?
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask that you support the Little Tokyo community, our organizations that support this motion to to get the sign fabricated by DOT and install. And we picked the date already. The owner has picked the date of January 30th, next Thursday, and Councilwoman from the 9th District is going to be there. So I'm hoping that it'll go forthwith to City Council after you approve it today. Thank you very much.
Mariko Lockridge.
Hello, I'm also here to speak on number 4 as well. Thank you for your time today. My name is Mariko Lockridge, and I'm the Small Business Programs Coordinator at the Little Tokyo Service Center. Today, I'm here to speak on behalf of Japanese immigrant and small business owner Mamoru Tokuda, who is the third owner of Kodaku, which will turn 50 in 2026. And we hope that today's events will contribute to it being around for another 50 years and beyond. In the past 4 years alone, we have seen over 50 small business closures in the 140-year-old neighborhood of Little Tokyo. And needless to say, it's been a challenging decade for our local small business economy. When Mamoru-san took the risk of taking over the business when its late owner, Hiroshi Yamuchi, suddenly passed away in 2020, we were very grateful for his commitment to our neighborhood. And even though he's done an amazing job of gradually bringing Kodaku back from the brink of closure, many challenges for small business continue to remain. As someone that has seen how the recognition of our small business's rich history and contribution to culture and community preservation has positively impacted our small business's financial health and likelihood for long-term sustainability, I'm excited to see how this marker will be a part of making sure that Kodaku's legacy will continue for many more years. Thank you very much for your support of our small businesses and the commitment to the legacy of Little Tokyo's history.
Thank you so much. And everyone, a reminder, when you come up to the podium, let us know what item you're going to speak on, and if you also want to speak on public comment, which would be 2 minutes. And if you want to do any more than a couple items, then it's a total of 3 minutes. So just let us know if you want public comment on the item. Thank you.
If I could have anybody else who signed up to please come forward and let us know the name you've spoken under or you've signed up under.
I'm assuming it was Audit LA. Signed up under Audit Twila. Sorry, because I was getting kicked out of the other meeting. Yes, I got kicked out. Finally. Glad it wasn't under your, because I don't want you to have to ever owe me another apology. But anyway, so but
Which items would you like to speak on?
everything and public comment, please.
Excellent. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little shaken. I've never been kicked out of a meeting before. Okay, so when it comes to item number 2, okay, yes, we need lighting and everything, but this copper wire theft has been going on for a really long time. And I just feel like a lot of what's happening is we're playing catch up, whether it's water, whether it's lighting, whatever it is. The city's playing a lot of catch up, not catch up, catch up. Sorry, I have a East Coast accent. Okay, and then when it comes to, okay, the sign, I think that's great. And, but I think they should have to pay for it. And maybe that's something you could do all throughout the city, have like a little, nothing gaudy, but a little tag, and companies can, whatever, but they pay for it. That way businesses maybe are contributing, if they're able to, because they want this, to the coffers, rather than you guys increasing our taxes and everything that you're doing to get the money from us, so that might be something to consider. Okay, when it comes to, number 6, I find that one interesting. Can you let me know when it's public comment? Like I said, I'm a little disoriented from being kicked out of a meeting by police. I've never had that happen before, but that was Miss Rahman. She owes me an apology. But anyway, okay, you don't even have an inventory of sidewalks in this city. Like, we don't even know all the sidewalks that we have. We don't know all the sidewalks that need repair. We don't have an inventory of sidewalks. So I love the idea to have one. I think we should, but we have to get real and not, I don't want it to be just for sidewalk vendors. Like, I think that'd be great to give them some, send people their way. But can we start with just a regular inventory of sidewalks? Okay, the fees. Okay, I'm all for it. What about Scientology? Like, you guys have been, they have all these ADA planters that are not compliant, right? Why don't you send them fines? Okay, they have a lot of unpaid fees to the city too. Is that my public comment time? Okay, so thank you. See you listening? I know. See, she's good because she listens. You're doing good too, Miss Padilla. Padilla, sorry. But I'm mad at, I'm not happy with Miss Rahman. I'm just going to say it. But anyway, we want the planners moved because they're non-ADA compliant. Okay, like, do you think I have a right to egress and regress, get in and out of a access paratransit vehicle on Fountain Avenue or Catalina or even L. Ron Hubbard Way when they don't have yet another street closing permit? I think I have that right, you know? That's just that's my opinion. I have the right. Federal government agrees with me, but it's not happening. Why? I mean, is it Hugo? Is he just like, he doesn't care? Is he a Scientologist? I really want to know. Because if he's not, I have a billion-year contract that they make people sign. I'll gladly bring one. I have a right to access these streets, and it needs to happen. I shouldn't have to come here since June, 3 times a week, right? It shouldn't happen. I'm getting to know you guys too much. You shouldn't
you.
know me like this. Thank you. Thanks for letting me speak, unlike Ms. Rahman.
Has anyone else signed up for public comment? If you could please come forward. There are no more speakers on the queue, Madam Chair.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. All right. We're going to go ahead and take a few items on consent, and I'm going to take item at number 1 at the very end, okay? Members, if there are no objections or questions, I would like to take items 2, 3, and 6 on consent and continue item 5. 2, 3, and 6, and continue item number 5.
Continue that.
Yes. Does that sound all right? Wonderful. Seeing none, does that sound good? Mr. Shade, can you please read the items into the record? Okay, great. Yes.
And prior to that, would you like to close general public comment?
Oh, yes, thank you. I would like to close general public comment now at this time. And let's go ahead and take items 2, 3, and 6 on consent and continue item 5.
Thank you. I will call the roll on items number 2, 3.
Wait, do we need to read them into the record?
No, they're on the.
Okay,
They're agendized, so you're okay.
wonderful. Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Espinoza.
Thank you.
Mr.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Padilla,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hud.
Yes.
These items are approved as you stated.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Espinosa. Let's go ahead and move to item number 4.
Item number 4 is a motion for Councilmembers De Leon and Price relative to installing a sign stating Kodaku, America's oldest ramen shop, still in operation, 314 East 2nd Street, LA, established in 1976 on the street light pole located at 314 East 2nd Street in downtown Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Espinosa. And I have an amendment for this motion. Can you please read that into the record?
Thank you. The new recommendation would be authorize the Los Angeles Department of Transportation to fabricate and install a double-sided sign stating Koraku, America's oldest ramen shop, still in operation, 314 East South 2nd Street. LA, established in 1976 on the street light pole located at 314 East 2nd Street in downtown Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Espinosa. Colleagues, any questions on that? Wonderful. It looks like we're ready to call the roll on that item. Mr. Espinosa, please call the roll.
Thank you. Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember Padilla. And Councilmember Hud.
Yes.
This item is approved as amended.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move to item number 7. Can you all please read that into the record?
Thank you. Item number 7 is a motion from Councilmembers Price and Park relative to the negotiated payment for city services from the Recording Academy associated with the holding of the Grammy Awards at the Crypto.com arena.
Thank you, Mr. Espinosa. Can you please, I have a technical amendment on this item. Can you please read it into the record? Mr. Shade?
This is
Thank you.
from CEO Communication. So we'd recommend that this item be amended to add the following recommendations. 1, authorize the use of supplemental police law enforcement services to support the Recording Academy during the 67th through 69th Grammy Awards ceremonies with full reimbursement of police law enforcement services in accordance with California Government Code Section 53069.8. And two, to recognize the economic benefit generated by the Grammy Award ceremonies being held in the city of Los Angeles, and to waive reimbursement requirements for city services, excluding police law enforcement services, supporting the 67th through 69th Grammy Award ceremonies pursuant to Municipal Code Section 41.20.1 parentheses C, events at major sports and entertainment venues.
Thank you, Mr. Shade. Colleagues, are there any questions on this item? Wonderful. Mr. Espinoza, can you please call the roll?
Thank you. Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember Padilla.
Yes.
And Councilmember Hud.
Yes.
This item is approved as amended.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 1.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a report from the Bureau of Street Services relative to the outreach and enforcement for the sidewalk vending program.
Thank you, Mr. Espinoza. Can we have our representatives from BSS please join us at the table? Hello, thank you. Good afternoon. Please introduce yourself and can you give us an overview of the report, please?
Yes, my name is David Rivera. I'm the Assistant Division Manager at City Services Investigation Enforcement Division. Start over.
One more time for the mic, please.
Yes, David Rivera, Assistant Division Manager for Investigation Enforcement Division with Street Services and oversee the sidewalk and street vending program. Good afternoon. Before you is a report that provides a high-level overview of our administration of the sidewalk vending program, including permitting, outreach, and enforcement of the rules and regulations. We are recommending that this report be noted and filed as it is informational purposes only. With regard to permitting, Street Services Investigation Enforcement Division is responsible for the review and issuance of sidewalk vending permits. Excuse me. Prospective vendors can apply for their annual food or merchandise permits by appointment at our offices at the Public Works Building in downtown or at the Marvin Browdy Building in Van Nuys. Since the start of the fiscal year, Street Services has issued 463 total permits, 31 for food, 432 for merchandise. Regarding outreach and education, as funding allows, Street Services engages with consultants to develop educational materials and provide an in-person or virtual outreach to vendors on the program's rules and regulations. For fiscal year 24-25, Street Services was provided $40,000 and are working with consultants to provide updated educational materials based on recent policy changes, community outreach, as well as translation and interpreting services. Enforcement protocols. While investigating non-compliant vending complaints, our approach is to begin with education and verbal warnings first. If the violation continues, Street Services will issue a written warning without a monetary fine attached. If the violation persists, the maximum penalty that can be imposed pursuant to state law is an administrative citation, enforcement citation. It should be noted that Street Services issues the citations. However, the Office of the City Attorney is responsible for processing the citation and determining the amount of the fine accompanying the citation. Fiscal year 23-24, Street Services received and addressed over 50,000 public right-of-way related complaints, including 10,077 non-compliant vending complaints via MyLA 311. From the state of the current fiscal year to present, from the start of the fiscal year to present, we have received 2,333 non-compliant vending complaints and have issued 189 warnings and 9 A citations. In June 2021, City Council established a moratorium on vending without a permit until January 1st, 2022. After the moratorium expired, Street Services opted to continue the moratorium in practice primarily due to the difficulties and costs associated with obtaining an LA County public health permit. Due to this, as well as staffing challenges and the statewide legalization of street vending, Street Services is no longer prioritizing enforcement of violations of the rules and regulations nor vending without a permit. Street Services is now only investigating vending complaints if there is an ADA accessibility regarding the 3-foot clearance rule. When investigating ADA accessibility complaints, Street Services' approach is education and warnings first. A citations will be issued after multiple warnings. This concludes our overview, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for giving us that briefing and for joining us here today. I have 5 questions. Colleagues, I know you all have questions on this item as well. We can go back and forth. I'll start. Has the Bureau seen an increase in permit applications since the city reduced its vending fee in June of last year?
Not that notable. The fee did go down, but I think a lot of it is the non-enforcement of having a vending permit. So therefore, the vendors aren't actually obtaining any permits. And,
Okay.
you know, like we hoped they would.
Okay, and also, does it have to do anything with most vendors are selling food and not merchandise?
It's possible that that's part of it.
Okay,
But I mean, overall, I think it's the, you know, the non-enforcement of having to obtain a permit at this point.
thank you. And when you say not that notable, do you have the number?
I would have to report back on the actual
Okay.
number.
Great, thank you. Are the Bureau's education materials updated? Well, you said that you're working to update all the education and outreach materials, right?
Correct.
Do we have an estimated timeline, and do you know what languages are being used?
Hopefully within the next few weeks or so.
Okay.
And it's going to be like the original ones in 13 different languages.
Okay, great. And in a few weeks, the contract would be administered, or we'll get the product in hand?
Hopefully, if I can reach out to Angela with the toss with
Hi, Angelo Yanko with the Bureau of Street Services. The consultants were engaged earlier in this fiscal year. We hope to have at least a draft of the project in hand within the next few weeks.
Wonderful, a draft, okay, of the items. Do you have an estimated time for when you want them to print?
As soon as possible, but you know, as resources allow, we're working on this and prioritizing it.
Great. And do you have the resources to print this once you have the materials in hand?
Yes, we do have enough funds in our contractual service account to print.
Wonderful, thank you. Has there, I'm gonna go back to that food piece. I know that part of the report, and you talked about it now, is that folks aren't able to get the county permit. What have been the conversations with the county on building a system that is more cohesive and accessible? Have we had those conversations with them?
to be honest, there hasn't been any conversations in a while. In a
Okay.
while.
And we need to do that since we've updated our laws, and is that something that we direct the department to do by motion? Or, because I mean, me and my team, we've been meeting with the Department of Public Health to have these conversations
Correct.
about street vending and other things that are coming up, but what's the best way to have you all begin to have those conversations? Because we need to. If they're a barrier to us regulating this system, then we need to get through that barrier. So what's the process? How can we support with that?
I mean, I think when we have our monthly or quarterly meetings with the vending stakeholders, we can also bring it up to the contractors that we have to try to maybe schedule some meetings or something that we can discuss that with them.
Okay, well, my legislative director will be following up with you all to see if that's something that we can facilitate before the quarterly meeting,
Mhm.
because this year is going by fast, right? We're just in January, but it's already gone in many aspects, particularly around the budget, and I just think we need to have those sooner than later. So, Lyric, will you? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Has the Bureau received a significant number of complaints against any of its investigators? And what is the process by which these complaints are handled and investigated internally?
I wouldn't say significant numbers. I mean, I say we probably have received a few
Mhm.
complaints, and that's something that's handled internally since it's a personnel issue.
Beautiful. Is it like training, or is it like conversations? How is
It,
that?
it could be a combination of stuff. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. That's good to hear.
Mhm.
Do you have a map assessment of where we're receiving the most complaints from?
We don't have an actual map, but what we'd have to do is we'd have to maybe look in the MyLA 311 system to figure out how many complaints we've gotten in each district type of thing.
Mhm.
That would be the actual map, though. We don't have anything like that.
Okay. Another thing we can work on together. Thank you. And how do you foresee staffing changes, including vacancies that have not been filled or swept, impacting your enforcement and outreach strategy?
Well, it's already impacted since the program doesn't exist as far as enforcement goes. Like we said, we're only doing the ADA and safety related issues. So, we're not able to do any proactive enforcement, and we still receive complaints daily about, vendors out there, from constituents, but we just don't have the staffing to go out there and follow up on that stuff.
Great. Not great, terrible, but thank you for sharing that. When you get complaints around ADA, is the result the A citation? Or is it more of a in-depth enforcement?
Well, eventually it could end up there, but like we said before, it's all you try to do the education first.
Phased approach.
We have
Got
yes,
it.
we haven't had we have not had to issue an A citation for an ADA violation yet.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Colleagues?
Mhm,
Thank
I
you
have
for that.
questions. I have questions.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here. I have some real concerns, especially because we have a new status in our federal administration. We know that many people don't have the status they might need in California, and I'm very worried about what outreach looks like if you're walking up to somebody with a brochure. What's the outreach plan? I don't want people to be in fear that it's a scam or a game. How are we going to be sensitive about?
Well,
Where
like I
we
said,
are.
right now we're not really out there doing any enforcement or education as far as the bureau itself. We do have the contractors, which once we get these materials printed up and stuff, that they're going to start doing some more outreach to the vending community.
Yeah.
We also have something set up in CD1. Well, it was supposed to be last week, but because of the fires, it got delayed. So we're just waiting for a new date to do some more outreach with the community.
I'm just concerned about sensitivity because the tides have changed. And my history comes from working under that administration before. And even though we're sanctuary city, you know, that sometimes that doesn't matter. And so I don't want our bureau to be mistaken, and I also don't want our people to be in fear of work that they've been doing for years. So had you considered being, you know, some sensitivity, some cultural competency around that in your?
We do. We've already attended training prior, so my staff does know how to handle that situation. Like I said, and we reassure them that all we're out there is to educate them at this point. And other than that, that's all we're out here to do.
And
Okay, that's
sorry,
fair.
if I may add, council member, once we have our consultant on board and ready to conduct the outreach, we'll work with each individual council offices to kind of tailor how you would all like to see outreach done in your district.
That would be awesome. I also have a couple more questions, Madam Chair. So we know that food vendors, for instance, have the largest barriers is in the health department of the county and what that code looks like. Are there barriers that we could help fill the gap with so that people would, you know, come up to code, be able to get their health permits, and then, you know, do the proper vending permits in the city? Have we analyzed that at all?
That's not something that we do. I mean, that's a health department issue.
Right.
We don't have that authority to enforce, you know, to enforce that stuff or train anybody on that.
I see. Thank you. One more question. And what opportunities do we have to create vending zones in sensitive cultural areas? Like, you know, this is your space, especially places like Lamert Park, where we have, in my district, and we have vendors that come on certain days. Some are legally there, some are not legally there. Have we considered vending zones?
Well, the thing is that with the rules and regulations, you can vend anywhere in the city as long as you follow those rules and regulations. Now, like Angela said, if in the future we meet with each individual council districts and you guys maybe decide that, you know, there's a certain area that you want to set aside to allow vendors or something, I mean, that's something that we can, I guess, discuss. But as of right now, you can vend anywhere in the city as long as you follow the rules and regulations.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just to follow up, Councilwoman, you have questions? I just have one follow-up question. Thank you. Of the outreach, the contractors you were talking about, how does it look like? Who picks them? Who are they? Who's the bench?
They do it's through like an interview process where we put it out and we get applications or applicants that, you know, are interested in providing the services. And then once we do that, we review them, we rate them, and then pick whoever, you know, let them.
The RFP contract process with the
It's a task
organizations
of-
or with people, individuals?
So we established a bench list through a request for qualifications,
Mm,
and when tasks arise as needed, we issue a task order solicitation.
wonderful. Now, this is a very, how do I say this? It's a community that needs culturally relevant interactions. And so when we think about interacting with this community, because my team has been doing phased education in some of our corridors, like the Salvadoran corridor and other places. But like we understand that if it's us coming, the messages might not be heard as well as maybe when a promotora does it. And so when we think about outreach, if this is something that you all can give us an update on expanding that bench to people that the vendors will actually receive the information, the fear of who is actually giving them the information will be reduced because it'll be folks who I'm sure they've probably seen. And I will just name, yeah, and trust. So like, and I'm just uplifting organization name. There are many organizations out there, but like Clinica Romero, many others have promotora models that for this population, you can't just hire, I think, a normal contracting company that does this type of work. So we could talk, I'll let my colleague ask questions and continue, but I'm going to be adding some instructions for updates on some of these things. Go ahead.
Well,
Thank you.
let me just begin by saying that it's very important. Now, before I even start, I'm assuming everybody in the crowd is also part of the BSS team for this? Yeah? Okay, so I'm glad you're all here, so you can all hear it. Because I think it's very important that the message is very clear that for us council members, we want to get these folks to know that we are part of a generation that is trying to formalize their hustle, right? We know that the state created a situation where it gives them a lot of freedom, but we want to make sure that we are productive in how we reach them. Because I gotta admit, like I'm looking at these numbers and I kind of see some indirect bias to how these numbers were reached. Like when you say you had 57,000 right-of-way complaints on 311, you had that in 1 year? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, and then 10,000 for non-compliance?
Yes.
Okay, I can't even, how does that compare to other things like people reporting broken street lights? Do you know that number?
For another division or for another bureau? No.
Okay, what about broken sidewalks? That's the BSS. How many broken sidewalks have been reported on 311?
In the same year.
We
In the same year.
We don't have that information on hand, but we can certainly report back.
Okay, because it almost makes me get the impression that there's someone actively supporting the reporting of who's in non-compliance, where what we really should be doing is investing in getting them to comply. This number just seems incredibly high to me and makes me wonder, is there like a dedicated person just reporting these on 311? That just seems really high. So I would like to see the comparison of these 57,000, 10,000 compared to other sort of complaints that come in related to the Bureau of Street Services, recording on 311. Because that's really, that's more than the people that vote in some elections sometimes. It's a really high number. Makes me wonder. So I did also want to reiterate that as you engage in this contractor, I noticed that there's a few listed on the report, but none of these folks have any ties to the San Fernando Valley. And I know we opened up the Van Nuys office, which is supposed to help them. And the last numbers that I saw was that there was, I have on here, it was told to me that from February 6th to July 7th, 33 total. And then from July 8th to today, it's 58. So it has doubled within a course to similar, amount of time. So it feels as if as long as we invest in the outreach, these numbers will increase. So I just wanted to put that out there. That outreach does help. I do have a question related to. Hold on. Can you kind of walk us through how you prioritize what communities you're gonna dispatch folks to for checking compliance?
Well, right now, we're not doing that. We're only addressing ADA.
That's what I mean.
Well, any ADA complaint that comes in is going to be addressed.
So how many of those are those a part of the 10,000 or the 57,000?
Both.
Okay, well, that's what I
10,000
mean.
of the 57,000 are vending complaints, is what we're saying.
For ADA.
So ADA is included in there. You could be, the complaints can vary from maybe in a no vending zone when that zone did, exist. It could be next to a red curb, which doesn't exist anymore. I mean, there's whatever violation in the rules and regulations is what is also included in that 10,000.
Go ahead.
Can you explain what that non-compliant ADA thing looks like? Like who knows what that is? Like I'm a regular Joe citizen. How do I know that they're out of compliance in an ADA when it's a pop-up? How does that?
Well, that's why when we go out and we investigate and issue, that's why I said our first enforcement is going to be education, because people may not know that they are in violation. It's a 36-inch clear space with 81 inches high that has to be clear. So and a person cannot be part of that. So we get complaints
You
where
mean
they'll
a
say,
pop-up can't be in that space?
say you have an easy up with tables and chairs,
Okay.
and then you have customers. Okay, we get a lot of complaints where they say, hey, there's no ADA violation. We go out there and there's no ADA violation, but you may have additional supporters or people buying the product from the people, and they're blocking the sidewalk. We can't use a person as part of that as a violation.
Okay.
What the object is, the easy up, the tables, the chairs, as long as there's a clear space of 36 inches or the 81, then it's not a violation.
So you're saying that there's some regular individual that passes a pop-up and says, they're out of compliance, let me call.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. It's like they do it to each other. It doesn't sound like, because I don't know what those numbers are. Like you're telling me right now, it's brand new information, and I'm not going to go check.
Right. And like I said, that's why it's education first, because not everybody knows.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So just a lot here. You mentioned that it's the ADA violations and other extreme circumstances. What constitutes an extreme circumstance?
It could be where they set up. Sometimes they'll set up near maybe or even in a bike lane in the street. It could be something like that. Some kind of safety issue. If we may think it's a safety issue, we'll go out there and take a look at it.
Okay, so it's mainly related to safety, related to blocking private right of way.
Yes.
It's not like, what if you see somebody set up like the grill next to a pole and it could get lit on fire? You guys are not going out for those?
Well, it depends on how the complaint comes in.
Okay.
Like, for instance, we had a complaint last week where because of the fires, I guess there was a vendor set up in the valley somewhere where they were under a tree. And so the person calls in and complains, hey, they have an open flame under this tree. Okay, well, we'll go out there and take a look. We'll at least advise the person, hey, look, we got a complaint regarding this. And we actually went out there, we talked to them, and they ended up moving. So it's stuff like that we'd have to actually go out and take a look at.
Okay, so look, I'm excited that we're finally moving towards the conversation of doing more outreach, right? That we as a city are prioritizing that. Because I've said this before. If we as a city I was just at a neighborhood council yesterday, and this dominated the meeting, right? People want to know, what can the city do? What is the city doing? And I mentioned to them, you don't like the law? Talk to your assembly member and your senator, right? You don't feel safe in terms of eating the food because of what you see in the periphery? Go talk to your county supervisor, right? But we as the city, we can control what we can control as a city. And I'm glad that we're moving towards outreach and education and getting folks to know that the city of LA is ready to have a conversation to, in the words of inclusive action, formalize their industry, right? Bring them into something more formal. But with that, I want to also emphasize that it's equally important for us to know what else you're observing, because you are the ones that are going out there, so that we can create other policies within the jurisdiction of their existence related to, you probably shouldn't have an open fire under a tree, right? That is very valuable information for moving forward, right? It's also very valuable to be able to say, how is your relationship, or how has it been to your conversation with the county? So I just want to emphasize that as you guys also work with these folks that are going to get the outreach contracts, that you require it to be a reporting, it's part of their reporting on what they're also learning for best practices, so that we can observe what is future policy. You don't just give them the money to go do the outreach, but we also have to make sure that they report back productively. And that's it for me. Oh, and things like, you need to let us know, right? Like, are we supposed to, like, I, out of my discretionary funding, have a contract with, I see Council District 7 is in here too. We have a discretionary funding contract with Northeast Graffiti Busters. Whenever the sidewalk gets really bad, we pay out of our own pocket to power wash it down. But that's also part of the conversations that our outreach team should be doing, is what are you doing to clean down the sidewalk? And, make sure that you're not littering. And also, what are they also doing to have conversations with their clients to not drink in public? Because that's actually one of my biggest problems with one site particularly. So I have a good site and I have a really bad site.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Chief Rivera, thank you so much. And please share your name again.
Angelo Yanko.
Angelo, thank you so much for joining us as well. I'm going to add an instruction to this, if you bear with me for a second. And City Attorney, you both, and Clerk, please correct me if I'm doing any of this wrong. I would like to add an instruction so that instead of noting and filing this, we do some work to get some updates. And so I want to direct BSS to work with EWDD and DPH and come back in a few weeks after having a conversation with them to talk about the two permitting processes and report back to us on how that conversation goes. So pretty much working with EWDD and DPH to figure out how we can work together in our permitting, if they have to put a motion forward to update theirs, or if they have any thoughts on how it can better work, because we're doing our part in trying to figure out how to regulate, right? They have made regulation almost impossible for a lot of folks, or unattainable, which keeps us in this this economy that still is underground and unregulated. And at least I know in the Salvadoran corridor, we started a fat soil and grease collection pilot, but also what we've seen is like different other health issues coming out of that area as well. And so that's why we want to also invest in infrastructure. And so colleagues, we're working with Chief Rivera and his team in hosting a street vendor workshop to educate the street vendors in our district around how do you get your permit? Who do you need to talk to? What is that process? And we've invested $20,000 in a fund to help pay for some of the permits. So as folks are coming in to pay it, because we've been waiting a long time for the city to take some concrete action to invest in the infrastructure of this, and we haven't done it enough in a sustainable way. So we're just here to say that we want to work with y'all. Let's figure this out. Let's regulate this in a way where we support our folks. And is that okay if I add that instruction to this? And adding CLA to that instruction as well, please.
And would you like to make it a more certain date, like 90, report in 90 days?
Can we get, is this 30 days? Can we do, because it's going to take time to lock that meeting down with DPH, right?
And I think the current condition, everything that's happening right now,
So let's do 60 days.
60 days.
Or would you prefer 90 days, Chief
I
Rivera?
prefer 90.
Okay, let's do 90 days, but y'all better have like, you had like 5
It won't be on
conversations.
us.
Okay. And please, again, we're here to support.
You know
No,
what, can
thank
we
you.
include to that? It's a friendly amendment that you guys maybe also connect with the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs at the county. Because if memory serves me right, they're the ones that are leading on this. And they themselves are also trying to get public health to prioritize this. You're okay with that?
Yes. And if-
Department of Consumer and Business Affairs at the county.
And as, in addition to that, if we could add, please, the Department of Economic Development at the county. Economic and Opportunity at the county. Thank you. And again, we can help make any of those connections as well.
And this is the Deputy City Attorney speaking, just to clarify. So instead of noting and filing the action, it would be as you've just described, the direction in response to receiving this report rather than a motion to note and file. So just to make that clear.
Great, thank you.
I have a question for you. Do I have to formally make an instruction that in the RFP language, they also require report back on lessons learned?
In the, yeah, I
It's
think
already out?
the staff, I think, has already issued the RFQ and has
Got
the
it.
list already, but they can correct me if that's wrong.
Great, thank you. And before we do the vote, last question. You said you had 40K. Is that only for the materials or does that include outreach?
That's just for the entire contract.
For the
And-
entire contract?
Right,
40K for the outreach as well?
right. And
Dang.
Councilmember, that was your office's, thankfully, in the last budget season, your office provided that direction.
Oh my gosh, we're not gonna talk to nobody with $40,000. Oh man, okay. Sorry, team. No, because I think about like an outreach worker at
Yeah.
one of the many organizations on the bench. That doesn't even pay for like half. Yeah, it doesn't pay for a whole salary and it. Okay, so maybe there's some more movement that we need to do on our end to bring more of that, or to maybe it's a phased approach. So, but yes, I'm sorry. We'll do more to get more. Okay, thank you on that. I think now it's okay to call the roll.
Yes, Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Padilla,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hud.
Yes.
This item is approved with the amendments that you stated.
Thank you. And Chief and Angelo and the team that has been doing this work on the ground, appreciate all the work you're doing. And again, want to uplift. We ask so much of y'all over and over again. But again, you have folks on here who are going to be doing our best to find the resources so that we don't ask you without providing those resources. But thank you again for your commitment and dedication to all this. Appreciate
And
y'all.
I think what's also important is, in light of the fires, out of my own discretionary fund, I funded the organization that I think has the best contact and relationships with this informal sector, right? They're going to be applying for some funds to compensate the gardeners, the nannies, the housekeepers affected by the fires that lost their place of work. So we should also figure out if you can tell us as individual council offices, we can have something better if your office takes initiative. And these are the organizations that could do it best.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for uplifting that because it's very true. We want to do whatever we can to find that solution. If it has meant going into our discretionary, that's what we got to do. So thank you for uplifting that, Councilman. Mr. Espinoza, can we call the roll on this item? Did we do that already?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have anything else on the
Comments?
desk?
No, the desk is clear.
Wonderful. Thank you. Committee meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We did it.